Hi. So I figured I was actually going to start with an intro video, right? Because you guys are gonna see a lot more of me. I am going to start really getting videos about one of my passions, which is, caring about cats. My name is Laurence. I'm from France. So if you want to say it correctly, that would be Laurence. I will not, hold you to it. I always tell everybody, as long as you don't call me Larry, I'm good. So as long as we get that under control, we're good. So why cats? Well, I have been a cat lover for 40 plus years. So since I was that big. And I've actually always been into adopting, right? So not buying breeds by any means, just all the cats I have owned. I've always been rescues because I just know the need. I know, how many cats are out there that don't have a home, and I have never been able to justify with myself how I would just go to a breeder and buy one. No, I'm not to say that people shouldn't. Everybody's different, but for me, I've always decided that rescue was my calling, right? And recently, probably like 4 years ago, let's call it 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, I just happened to be on a very high kill shelter website, and got to realize how many cats were actually put down in the height of the season, right? And we call it kitten season. It usually starts, if we're lucky, May through who knows until when it lasts, but more and more it's actually started earlier and it ends later. But it's just that time of the year where there's just so many cats, stray cats, that have litters, that the shelters are overloaded, and there's just never enough of us to get them pulled and adopted. So I decided at that point that even though I understood I could never save all of them, I needed to do my part, right? Because it's all about doing your part. So I joined the rescue, became a foster, and my passion just kind of grew from them. There's a saying that says, I don't know if it's a saying, but it's kind of like a funny quote that says that doing rescue is just like being in the mafia. Once you're in, you can never get out. It's kind of true. And not to say that every now and then it doesn't get difficult, but it's worth it. I mean, you know that whichever cat you pulled, you saved. And that's not even always true, but 99% of the time, you get them, and you get them early enough that you can save them and get them adopted, and they go in happy families and so on and so forth. So because of that, I have gained personally a lot of knowledge, right? So I'll put the disclaimer right here and there. I am not a vet. I'm not even a vet tech. Everything I will talk about, I have learned most often than not the hard way. How I got to that knowledge, I have been helped by many professionals to kind of feel my way through. A lot of it is just experience. It's like once you've seen it once you've seen it twice, you just kind of get familiar, and you become more aware. There's still a lot of things to learn, even in the medical world. Very little of the research is actually done on cats, which is really sad because they have such a different metabolism than dogs that it's just, you can't just assume, that it's gonna act the same. So anyway, this is where I'm coming from, right? Everything that I will share in my videos is things I have learned in the past 5 years dealing with so many cats that came through my house, that I've just kind of, gained knowledge that way. It's all experience based. Again, not a vet, not even a vet tech. And, but just a lot of experience and a lot of connections with the people that actually know a lot of that stuff. So here we go. That's just what I wanted to briefly acknowledge before I get started, and hopefully people will actually start with that video, but I'm gonna start posting on subjects that I am constantly asked about. It's very interesting to actually see that a lot of the questions that come up are always the same. There's a few concerns, and they're usually the ones that will potentially make the people say, I'm done with that cat, I don't want it anymore. And I always do my best to make sure that we don't get to that point, because it's just, a cat is not a thing, right? It's part of your family. It's a commitment, because without you, they just can't do anything. So, well, at least they not as well as, they would when you help them. So anyway, that's where we are. I will post this one first, and then I will move along right away onto a very, very important theme. And so if you're interested in that, make sure you look for it. But it's... My cat is starting to pee outside the box. What do I do now? And I won't even tell you how many times I've had that question come up. Okay? So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that, my experience will be useful for some of you. And again, feel free if you have any questions. These videos are going to be posted both on YouTube, on my blog, and on my Facebook page. So there'll be plenty of areas to actually go find me and kind of figure out, if you have additional questions that maybe I have not talked about, what we can do for you and how we can help you. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go on to one of the biggest subjects ever. Bye.